This is Nixon. Oh, here he goes! My goodness!
They may not like the cold,
He's taking it the distance!
but they represent the green and gold.
Love to Watson.
Going deep, has a man, is caught, Watson is in, touchdown Green Bay.
Welcome to the West Coast Cheeseheads podcast.
Welcome, Packer family, to another episode of the West Coast Cheesehead podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Mateo, alongside with my co-host, Joe, and thank you for joining. So, this week, we're going to be going up a Monday Night Football game against the Las Vegas Raiders. In Vegas, too, so this is going to be an away game. And we're coming off a pretty bad upset, but so are they in some way, in their loss against the Los Angeles Chargers. They were trying to rally back in that game, but didn't end up finishing it off. So they are coming off of a loss as well, and Joe and I would really like to just go over some key points in this game. But before doing so, I would like to mention that if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe, or as Joe likes to say, smash that like button for our YouTube channel and be notified whenever new episodes are coming out. Also, you can find us on Facebook at West Coast Cheeseheads Podcast, Instagram at WC Cheeseheads Podcast, or Twitter and TikTok at WC Cheeseheads. We are here to provide you with all information, anything and everything Packer related. We may not like the cold, but certainly still rep the green and gold. So, Joe, how you doing today?
Doing good, Mateo. Looking forward to this weekend for the Packers to get back out there and get another win under our belts to bounce back from that Detroit Lions loss. Have a long week for the guys to prepare for this game coming off of that Thursday night game against the Detroit Lions and us playing on Monday night here. So, again, plenty of time for the Packers to prepare for this game, to get ready for this game, and really come out on the right foot. So, excited to see if this team can bounce back. Excited to see if they're actually going to come out ready to play in the first quarter and not flat like they've been coming out the last few games. But, yeah, doing good. Excited for this game.
Yeah, excited for this game. I mean, to me, it seems like we should be able to walk away with a victory, but we'll get more into that. Anyways, I want to start off this show with going over the injury reports. So, as of right now, it's Thursday, and we received the first injury reports in this, and Aaron Jones and Christian Watson both ended up on the injury report. Limited participation, but what do you think, Joe? I mean, to me, it almost seems like maybe they might just be trying to rest them.
Yeah, from the reports that I'm reading, both of them should be good to go for Monday night. They're both coming off injuries, and last game against the Lions was their first game back. So really think they're kind of just easing them back in, giving their making sure their workload isn't too heavy for them, so they don't re-injure anything. I fully expect both of them to go and be ready to play against the Raiders on Monday night.
Yeah, and another person that is still on this injury report is Jair Alexander. So he had some limited participation too with his back injury, which kept him out of this Lions game. But yeah, from reports, it seems like he's not going to be ready for this next upcoming game.
Yeah, reporters talked to Matt LaFleur today after practice, and they said that he's limited. And he's getting better, and that Matt LaFleur expects him to be back soon. They're not really concerned for the long term, but he says that the back injury is significant. So, with that being said, and Matt LaFleur's concern, not for the long term, but for definitely him missing time. I don't expect to see him out there against the Raiders. Would be my guess. It's still up in the air. He was limited at practice. Hopefully, he could get ready for Monday night. But if I was a betting man, I would say that he was going to be out Monday night.
Yeah, and if he's out Monday night, it looks like we're going to be looking back with Rasul Douglas. But somebody who did make limited participation was Eric Stokes for this Thursday reporting. And if we could get Stokes back, I think I'd be pretty happy with having him and Rasul Douglas in the backfield.
Yeah, our secondary doesn't look too good right now. If Jair Alexander isn't going, Rudy Ford didn't practice at all on Thursday, Eric Stokes was limited. Hopefully he can get back. But if we're missing those three guys, those are three key guys to our defense, and the defense has been what's been carrying us this season so far to our 2 victories and for us being close in another game. But I really those are some big hits. Those are some very big hits that we'd be taking if those 3 guys are out.
Yeah, and they're going to be, if they're out, it is going to be a big hit. But the guys that I'm seeing on this report, that I know that we just went over this in the last episode, but I think these 2 guys are key to having in our offense. Elton Jenkins is still limited participation with his knee injury, as well as John Runyon, guard, did not participate with his groin and his ankle. So those are 2 key points, because I know we've really brought up how stressful it is right now to not have a healthy O-line. And we really want to try and see if we can end up getting some more protection for Jordan Love, and as well as our running backs.
Yeah, well, all Packer fans saw how bad our O-line performed against the Detroit Lions, how much the defensive line, the Detroit Lions, ran all over them. So, yeah, Elgin Jenkins, limited practice. Hopefully he's ready to go Monday. John Runyon, seeing him on there, that was a surprise to me. Our O-line needs to step up. We'll go over what it's going to take for the Packers to win this game later on in this episode, but a little precursor. It's definitely the O-line.
Yeah, right. And I think every Packer fan that's out there would agree with you with that. Now, let's move over to the Raiders side, because they've got a key player who was listed, did not participate. Davante Adams with a shoulder injury. What do you think of that?
Yeah, he came up as a do not practice. Apparently his shoulder injury. I don't know if it's too significant for long-term issues, but they do show that he did miss practice because of that shoulder. If Jair's out and we're missing all these secondary guys, Davante Adams, I mean, he's not a Packer anymore. He's a Raider. So him not being out there on the field is definitely a benefit for us. So hoping for the best for him. But again, if he's not lining up there on the line, I wouldn't be too upset.
Yeah. So I know that Davante would really like to have his chance to play up against his old team, but if he's not playing against us, I'm not going to have any sweat on that.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so now some key points. Let's look at the Raiders team here, okay? Now, we've already finished up with 4 weeks, moving into week 5, and the Raiders' record currently is 1-3. Their one win was against a Denver Broncos team, which just really hasn't impressed anybody. Bottom line fact is, they've lost to the Steelers, they've lost to the Chargers, and they've lost to the Bills. All of these teams are quality teams, and so I don't know how the Raiders are really going to end up performing in this game. But besides having Josh Jacobs and Jacoby Myers, and then if Davante's out, I really don't know how many weapons they're going to be able to have against us to be able to just withstand whatever it is that we bring to them.
Yeah, I was looking at stats for the Raiders games so far, and it looks like teams have been kind of running all over them. Every game that this season so far, rushers for their opponents have reached that 100-yard mark. In total, the team's rushing combination has reached 100 yards or more. Teams are running all over them. They got stomped out by the Bills 38-10. Steelers aren't that great of a team this year. I can't give them that, but they did lose to the Steelers by 5, 23-18, and then they got beat by the Chargers by a touchdown when they were trying to come back. You know, they might have some momentum coming into this game since they started to come back a little bit against the Chargers, but I fully expect Packers to take this victory. They're a 2-point favorite right now in Vegas, and with the way the Raiders have been playing, with our receiving core back to full strength, assuming Christian Watson's back, and Musgrave is back, and Aaron Jones is back, our Achilles heel is going to be that secondary if all three of those guys are injured. But I fully expect the Packers to go into Vegas and take this victory, especially the way the Raiders have been playing lately.
Right. Yeah, and I think a key thing that we need to bring up here, which we've already touched subject with, is it's going to depend on our offensive line. Can our offensive line create these holes so that way we can get some momentum out of Aaron Jones? And with that being said, let's use Aaron Jones, okay? I mean, last game he only ended up carrying the ball twice, okay? Let's use him, all depending on if he is actually healthy. We know he's on the injury report right now, but as far as you and I have ended up discussing this, it seems more or less like they're just trying to rest him and get him ready for this game. And they had a really long break with this, going from a Thursday night game to a Monday night, week 5. This has been a really long break, and hopefully we can get him back. But with that being said, our offensive line needs to be able to open up these holes so that way we can go ahead and utilize Aaron Jones and the rest of the rushers in this game.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. Our offensive line needs to start opening up holes for our run game. Our offensive line needs to protect Jordan Love so he actually have some time to throw the ball. But yeah, I think last week their uses of Aaron Jones was strictly precautionary and kind of, again, like he's limited practice today. I really think they were just trying to get his feet wet a little bit and not overuse him. Or even use him very much at all. Just trying to get his up to NFL speed again. I really expect his usage against the Raiders to take an uptick in this game. And again, if our offensive line can start playing like the way they should be able to play, those holes should be able to open up, and Aaron Jones should have a good game with tons of rushing yards. Again, this Raiders team has not been able to stop the run at all, so fully expect Aaron Jones and even A.J. Dillon, hopefully A.J. Dillon too, to have a solid game this week.
Yeah, and while we're on the subject of rushers, I know he may not end up joining our team. He may not end up playing come this week, but I think we do need to touch subject on this because there was a news article that I did end up seeing which indicated that the Packers were working out James Robinson, who used to play with the Jaguars, as well as the Jets, but well known with the Jaguars. And man, would that actually be something else? I mean, unfortunately, with just the way that A.J. Dillon has ended up performing, as well as some of our other rushers, I think having somebody in line like James Robinson for maybe another number 2 spot could be beneficial to us.
Yeah, I think our coaching staff, I think our scouting team, I think they have recognized what the fans have recognized is that A.J. Dillon is not getting the job done. Hopefully him taking a back seat and taking the number 2 spot to Aaron Jones will help him out because it puts him back into his natural role. But he is just not getting the job done. And if James Robinson could come in and give this offense a little bit of a spark, why not bring him in? Why not bring some veteran presence out there to a very young team that we have? I see nothing wrong with at least trying him out, working him out. And again, if they bring him on, I say let's do it.
All right, Joe. So before we conclude this episode, I'd like to just finish off with score prediction. How do you think this game's going to end up turning out?
Yeah. So like I said, I fully expect the Packers to come out with the W this week. I think with our secondary being up in the air like it is, and the Raiders defense not being the greatest as well, I honestly think this is going to be a shootout and it's going to be high scoring. I know we said last week it was going to be high scoring, and for the Detroit it was, but I think this is going to be a high scoring game as well. I'm predicting a 37-30 Packer victory.
Wow, talk about a big score.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I somewhat agree with you on it. I think that, like you said, with their weak defense, our weak defense, I think it is going to end up being a shootout that's going to end up taking place. And I predict somewhat of a high score as well. But if we can get our offensive line moving in this game, I do see us coming away with a victory. We can't completely rely on Jordan Love and this wide receiver core to come away with the points. We need to get some points on the board with our rushers. But with that being said, I think we're going to have a Packer victory, 31-28.
Close game.
Close game. I do think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah. Let's hope that the Packers get the W.
Agreed. All right, well, with that being said, that concludes this episode. So thank you all again so much for listening. We truly appreciate it. And again, if you haven't, please hit and smash that like button and be notified whenever future episodes come out. You can find us on Facebook at West Coast Cheeseheads Podcast, Instagram at WC Cheeseheads Podcast, or Twitter at WC Cheeseheads. We truly appreciate it and thank each of you for joining us on the West Coast Cheeseheads Podcast. We may not like the cold, but certainly still rep the green and gold. Go Pack Go. Have a great week.